Welcome to polyplane.com. Last week we talked about sweep 1, or just the sweep command in general, and figuring out how it all works. So this week we're going to be talking about sweep 2. And as you would probably guess, sweep 2 means you're sweeping 2 rails. All the rules still apply the same. You've got your 2 rails and you've got your cross sections. And so let's take a look at how this works. So again, I've got my rails like I had last week, and we've added in the second rail with this little dip here. And let's take a look at what happens with the sweep 2 command. So you type sweep 2, and it's asking you to select the first rail and the second rail. And now we're going to do our cross sections. And same kind of prompt comes up where you have the option to simplify it and stuff, but then we've got this option down here that says add slash. So if I go and I add a slash, what's happening is when I add these slashes is it's increasingly adding more and more ISO lines across the surface, which is helping the computer kind of figure out how these cross sections need to flow across the curves. So as I do this, it's refining the mesh more and more. The advantage of this is you'll get a more accurate mesh. The disadvantage of this is it's going to slow you down a little bit. So when you're done, just right click or hit enter. That looks pretty good. If I were to rebuild this, again, it's going to deform my original cross section. So I don't usually do that unless I'm going to add a whole lot of control points, like 500 to 1,000. So I'll just keep it at do not simplify. The easiest way to have to get around rebuilding it is to making your original curves exactly how you want them. So I'll click OK. And now we've got our mesh with a little divot in here. Now what the whole point of this is, but with both of the sweeps, is to define what that outer perimeter is. If you remember from our lofting video, all I was doing was taking the curves in the order that I want to loft them, hitting loft, and you see you kind of get something, and that's great and everything, but it's not nearly as robust as the sweep tools, because not only are you defining the cross sections, but you're getting to define these outer edges that really make up the outer form of whatever your form is. So this is where the sweep command gets really robust. So the other part of this is, you may have noticed in last week's video and this week's video so far, I've only dealt with open curves. You can totally do closed curves with the sweep tool, and I will do that right now. I will close these up, and we'll create a sweep using the same 2 cross sections with closed curves. Okay, so I've gone ahead and closed off all the curves, and I've actually kind of rebuilt them a little bit, so everything is nice and tidy where it needs to be. And I've also, even though in the last week's video I was talking about how you could have curves way out here, before you dive into that, it's kind of good to build everything within close proximity of itself so that it's a little bit easier to keep track of how surfaces are generated. So what I'll do is I'll type sweep 2, and I'll select my 2 rails, this one and this one, and then, oops, this one, and then it's going to ask me for my cross sections, which I want these 2 and this one, and hit enter. And as you can see, it's using those same 2 rails to create the form. So this is really great for if you've got some sort of, I don't know, organic form, like say a motorcycle gas tank or some sort of fender. I've built just an arbitrary form here, but you can really see how you can start to define a surface using a couple rails to indicate sort of the general direction, and then these cross sections to indicate what that cross section looks like, and to use these curves as sort of a cross section of what the form looks like. So with this, you can really create some really powerful forms. Next week, we're going to be talking about the patch tool to figure out what happens when, how do we cap this off. So here's a little preview of that. I'll show you the wrong way, and you can stay tuned to see the right way. So if I were to just cap this and give it a quick fillet, And see, yeah, that's something there, but it's not nearly as cool as what the patch tool does. The patch tool, you can actually start to define sort of a nice, round edge. So stay tuned for that. Here, I'll do the other one too while I'm at it. Yeah, that's kind of fun and everything, but not as cool as what the patch tool can do. So stay tuned for that, and we'll keep going. So thanks so much for watching, and have a great day.